Everyone. So it's nice to be back here. Abi ko last na to. So pwede pa part 3 ni siya. So hamba nila unahon ta lang ang part 3 kay na-shoot doon nila ang part 2. Pero kung may time pagid, pwede pagid dalon di ang part 2. Okay. So before I start with the formal lecture this afternoon, I would like to share to you again mga questions around the churches I would like to answer this afternoon. One question was about glutathione, no? Very common gid siya sa bunga product sa madamong I don't know kung meron dili na pero sige lang. Glutathione ang iyang promise, no? Pinkish, hindi lang gali white, pinkish white skin pa. Kag may ara gid man may ga-post ang ilang mga pictures, mga before and after, if you can notice, they seem to be whiter. No, it does work sa whitening. Pero what is in there? Anong ginaobra sa glutathione? Now, to understand that, amo na imong model sa imong cell. You can see there you have your nucleus, the blue one. For those sa inyong may scientific na background, ang nucleus has your DNA inside. It is protected inside by those brown roofs that you see. Ang duwa nga na brown, kita niyo sa babaw, that's your melanin. That's the pigment of your skin. That is the one that gives color to your skin. Kita niyo brown, it's your melanin. The more melanin you have, the darker your skin. The less melanin you have, the fairer the skin. What happens when people put glutathione, when they take glutathione? Before that, protection na siya ang melanin. It's like an umbrella to the DNA of your skin. So that ang sunlight will not penetrate through your skin cells into your DNA para hindi sila ma-damage. So it needs a protection in the form of your melanin. Now, kung mag-glutathione ka, naga-fairer ang skin, pero it decreases your melanin. It decreases the umbrella. So what happens? Diretso na ang sunlight sa imong nucleus, and it has the potential to damage your DNA sa imong skin. So what happens according to our book? No, the cosmetic desire for fairness among normally dark-skinned people have resulted in deleterious practices like skin whitening, glutathione. So they get damaged skin DNA, which now results to skin cancer. Now, skin cancer is very rare, pero kung makuha mo pagid na, ay grabe na gid. No? Rare na siya, pero pag nakuha mo, ay, it's about 3 million sa US, kay lighter ilang skin, pero sa aton hindi masyado damo diri. So that's the result of trying to apply whitening or agents like your glutathione. So this is a picture from National Geographic. That's the human rainbow of skin colors. So if you notice, those living in countries that are exposed to direct sunlight, like your South Africa or generally your African nations, darker sila compared those nga sa mga higher nga latitude. So the question for those who are trying to use glutathione, why remove your protection? It's a natural protection. Kita nyo magwa ka mo painit, just one day or two, naga-darker ka mo. Because your skin detects nga, ay, damo ang harmful rays ng sun, I have to increase melanin to make it darker. Now, those using glutathione, they are trying to remove their protection from their skin. So let's go to our main topic. This one is entitled Unhooked. Prevent, manage, and reverse our chronic lifestyle diseases. Who among you here recognizes any of the faces Oh, damo di. Yes, 3 of them are doctors and 1 is a scientist, renowned scientist. This one, of course, kilala to ni dapat, no? Our very own scientist, Dr. Vite. This one, sino kakilala? Tuod bala? She is a politician. She is an Adventist, fighting for animal rights. Actually, she became an Adventist in 2006 because of the health message of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Okay, I have a question for you this afternoon that I hope you will remember until the end ng lecture ta. If this is a gasoline car, and let's say you own this car, it has a price tag of 65 million. Kung mamangkot may mag-ask sa imo, would you like to refuel it with diesel? No? 65 million gasoline car. Someone asked you, sir, gusto mo diesel mas barato? Okay. Of course, you will say no because it is not designed for diesel. But what if, lain ang question, would you add a gasoline additive to its fuel tank even if Ferrari says no? The brand of the car is Ferrari. What if may mga hambal sa imo, sir, butangan ta na additive ang imo nga salakyan, pero hambalagid sa imo nga manufacturer, do not add anything sa imo nga gasoline tank. Would you like to add an additive if your manufacturer says no? Who would you believe? Let's say ang naghambal sa imo sang additive is a class 1 professional mechanic, or would you believe the Ferrari engineer? One is saying, I studied these cars all my life, that's why you should add your additive. And the other one is saying, we created these cars. So I would just like you to remember ang mga questions nga na. You will see that again at the end of the lecture. Heart disease is our #1 killer, followed by stroke and vascular disease, followed by cancer. And along the top killers are diabetes and hypertension. All of these are lifestyle diseases, and a lifestyle disease is best prevented, managed, and reversed by a change of lifestyle. Okay, just 1.5 weeks ago, in Manila Bulletin, this was shown that there is a silent killer among the Filipinos, killing 800 Filipinos every day. And the article goes on to say, this is an epidemic of non-communicable diseases, stroke, cancer, heart disease, COPD, the diseases of smokers. The scientific community has failed to anticipate and prevent it. That's us. Advances in medicine, doctors have failed to curb this epidemic, and a steady rise in deaths have been shown in the past years. So essentially, what the article in the Manila Bulletin is saying is, we have a lot of medications today. We have a lot of advancement in science, but there is a continued increase of diseases, though wala agad nila na solusyonan. Now, the article says, because Filipinos are fond of this kind of foods. Okay, Filipinas, good, no? It's more fun in the Philippines, including our favorite delicacies. And because of these really sweet foods that we have, we now belong to the emerging hotspots of diabetes. 3.4 million Filipinos have diabetes. That's 7.7% of our population, and we now belong to the world's top 15. And in 2030, it is only expected to increase. And diabetes is the leading cause of blindness in adults. It is the leading cause of amputations, of course not including the traumatic cases. Leading cause of kidney failure. Now, kidney failure is not cheap. If you have kidney failure, if you need dialysis, you have to do that 3 times a week, 4,000 per session. That could easily amount to 40,000 in a month or more. Just the dialysis, without the medications and the other things that you have to suffer. And 80% of those with diabetes would die of a heart attack or a heart disease. Such that the drug companies are now on the race to find a one-day pill solution to our problem, because they are expecting a lot of Filipinos to be diabetic in the coming years. Now, we have been always taught that diabetes is caused by sugar. Now, I would like to... The condition, diabetes, has something to do with sugar, but the origin, how people have diabetes, has something to do with this. It's fat. Now, in your body, fat will be stored as fat. And sugar in excess will be stored as fat. Still fat. I will explain this to you. Okay. Now, sugar in your body is converted to what we call glucose. No, it's a simple sugar. Glucose is a simple sugar. But when your body has used all the glucose that it needs for the day, it has to store the excess in the form of glycogen. Now, hindi unlimited ang storage ng imo glycogen. In your liver, it can store up to 100 grams. Pero syempre, may na-store na da previously. Previous day, previous days, may na-store na da. So kung ano lang ang bakante, amo lang na pwede niya sudlan sa imo nga storage ng glycogen. Another one, sa imo nga muscles, 500 grams pwede da ma-store. Pero still the same, it could be full or may gamay nga space for some storage. What happens to all the excess? All the excess glycogen will be stored as fat, because fat has no limit of storage. So you can just get wider and wider and wider. Okay, fat and diabetes has a relationship. Now this one is a simple explanation of your diabetes. Now, for medical students, this is not a perfect model. This is a grade 1 nga model. So we study differently when it comes to diabetes, mas complicated siya. Pero for every one of us here this afternoon to understand this, if you can see ang sa babaw nga medyo red, that's your bloodstream. And diri sa dalom, that's your cell inside your cell. Now, miyara ka ba makita duwa ka bilog? The green one is like a door, a gate, and the brown one is like the doorknob or something. Now, here comes your sugar that you eat, glucose. Before it can enter your cell where it needs the sugar, it needs insulin, which acts like a key. Now, this key signals the gate. You can see it turning green for go. It opens the gate. And so, sugar can go inside your cell. That's for a normal person. What happens when you have diabetes? There is a problem there. There's fat, or for medical purposes, it's intracellular lipid. There's a lot of mechanism for diabetes, but this is one of the simplest that I would like to give to you this afternoon. So when there's fat, ano matabo sa key ng insulin? It will try, but it will try in vain, because it cannot signal the opening of your gate, the green one. So what happens to your sugar? So your sugar will just go around, lagaw-lagaw lang, sagwa. Hindi siya makasulod sa imong cell. Now remember, it has to be inside your cell. Dira siya kilangnan. So lagaw-lagaw lang siya. That's why you have a high blood sugar. Amo nang ako i-check niyo yung mga CBGs, taas ang sugar, because the sugar is just there in your bloodstream. It's very high there. It's not going into your cell. What happens if you eat a lot of sugar? Sige, mas damo pag sila nga nagalagaw-lagaw lang sa gwa. They all cannot go inside your cell because there's a problem with the key. No, hindi mo open ang gate. Now, that's the simplified version of your diabetes. So you have high blood sugar and low sugar in the cells. So taas kiba na yung mga sugar sa imong mga blood pero nubo naman sa sulod sa imong mga cells where they are needed. So your high blood sugar will cause you frequent urination, you will be thirsty, you will have blurred vision because of the damage in your nerves and tingling pain, numbness, and the rest. Low sugar in the cells will cause you to be hungry and you will experience extreme fatigue because your cells are actually screaming, I'm hungry. But it's not going in there. So you just want to eat and eat and eat, pero wala sa migakadto sa imong mga cells. And again, and it leads to a lot of problems. No, diabetes is one of the diseases that you really don't want to have because hindi na siya alone. Ginaupod niya pagid si heart disease, ginaupod niya pagid si amuni. Damo siya, problems. So what can we do about diabetes? This is ang outlines ang lecture. I got this from the American Diabetes Association. They have what we call a medical nutrition therapy. So if you want to prevent, manage, and reverse diabetes, this is what you have to do. Number 1 is to reduce your saturated fats, trans fat, and cholesterol. They have said that this fat, this kind of particularly saturated fats, will have, as you have seen sa animation kagina, no, it would cause problems with your insulin. So if you reduce your fat intake, that would really help with the insulin resistance that you have. So where do you get? What should you put in your plate to avoid saturated fat, trans fat, and cholesterol? Trans fat is found mostly in your processed foods, junk foods, and of course animal foods. They naturally have trans fat. So even if you don't cook, even if without cooking pa no, wala pa naluto nga mga meat, they already contain your trans fat. And saturated fat and cholesterol, you have seen this before. These are the foods that you have to avoid. Egg, cheese, meat, chicken, and the rest of the fishes have a high saturated fat and cholesterol. So someone asked how much trans fat, saturated fat, or cholesterol is okay. I have shared this with you again last time. There is any number above 0 is not desirable. If you can put it to 0, that's the best. So like alcohol, there are no recommended intakes. They only have limits because nobody recommends alcohol. They only put limits to it. Just the same with your trans fat, saturated fat, and your cholesterol. You don't have to take it, but they have placed limits. And in this case, if you can put it to 0, that's the best. Then someone asked, isn't it that diabetes is hereditary? Well, there are, according to the ADA, the current epidemic of diabetes likely reflects something else, like your lifestyle and your diet, increased energy intake, and decreased exercise. Gene has the little less to do with it because of the current epidemic that we have. There are genes that are, let's simplify this one. There are genes that are like dictators. You can't argue with them. The color of your eyes, pagkagwa nyo, amugin na iya. No matter what you do, amo lagi ng color sa imong eyes, brown or blue or green. You can't change that. Your genes will dictate that. But there are genes that are like a group of people trying to suggest to you. There are like committees that they would suggest to you, well, your mom and dad has diabetes. Maybe you should have diabetes too. But you can always say no to these committees, no? You can see there they are voting have diabetes, no diabetes, and one actually abstained. So it's like a committee. You can always say no to those genes. What you can do is you have to maintain a healthy weight. So we have this, your body mass index. You look at the chart, then you look for your height on the left side. You can see that box for me, 5'5". Then you look for your weight on top. It could be pounds or kilograms. Then the box where they intersect is your BMI. So if arapang yung BMI sa green, that's okay. When you go to the yellow and the orange, you have to start exercising so that you would achieve your ideal weight. So you don't follow this one. No, bata pa lang siya, yung BMI, I don't know kung pila ng BMI, basta mga 30 plus. So what you do, you exercise 30 minutes a day for most of the days. That's 4 days in a week. And the best they've found is brisk walking. Now, speaking of weight gain, what do you think causes the most weight gain? Is it chicken? Is it beef? Is it fish or still beef? According to a study, the EPIC study, hundreds of thousands of people, they have found out that all kinds of meat will increase your weight gain. But, and that is even if you have the same calories. So, you compare one person with the same number of calories and one person with the same number of calories, but even if the factor was just one was eating meat and the other was not, those eating meat will still have the weight gain, even though they have the same energy intake in calories. So all kinds of meats will increase your weight, but there is one specifically nga mas taas gid, and it's poultry. So you know what to avoid, but the best is to avoid all of them. Okay, there's no reason according to the ADA to avoid the fructose, the sugar in your fruits, vegetables, and other foods. No, according to them, may mga doctor gid gahambal that you have diabetes, you have to avoid mangoes, you have to avoid chicos and all. But the positional statement of the ADA says that you do not have to avoid them. Last time I have shared with you this. A normal person can have as much as 300 plus grams of carbohydrates in a day, while your diabetic could have around 130 to 180 grams of carbohydrates. So you can always put fruits in there. In fact, actually, all those fruits that you can see in your screen, you can fit that. If you have 3 cups of rice in a day, you can fit up to 2 to 3 servings of all of that fruits. It will fit to your carbohydrate requirements. So there's no need to avoid all these fruits when you have diabetes. Glycemic index and load. What is this? There are foods that when you eat, when you take it in your body, they have a high glycemic index and they cause your blood sugar to rise rapidly. So foods with a high glycemic index are absorbed rapidly. No? Amon tandaan nyo, high GI or glycemic index equals high absorption. When you eat them, dasig sila ma-consume, dasig mag-saka imo nga sugar. So what happens if you eat a piece of donut from your favorite store? Or it could be soda or anything that has a high glycemic index. You can see there in your left, muna siyang imong nga blood sugar. Sa dalom ang hours after you eat them. So when you eat your donut, dasig magsaka ang imong nga blood sugar, pero dasig man siya magpanaog. That's your high glycemic index nga food. So what happens is, gulpi siya saka, lapaw ka siya sa imong nga normal nga mga blood sugar levels, naga-hyperglycemia. But after a few hours, 1.5 hours, let's say for this kind of food, ang imong nga blood sugar is very low naman. Kaya naubusin na, release na nga iyang energy nga sugars. And you get a hypoglycemia. In comparison to foods with a low to medium nga GI or glycemic index like your oats, no? Ang iyang nga supply sa imo sang sugar is steady and continuous. Hindi siya nga gulpi saka, gulpi nubo. Steady and continuous supply of your glucose. That's what you want. A low to medium GI nga food. So, for those of you who are students who are taking exams, amo ning tsura nyo pag-start sang exam. But if you ate, let's say, donuts before your exam, your sugar will spike up rapidly and it will go down rapidly, such that an hour during your exam or even 30 minutes, ubos na ang imo nga brain power because your brain can only use glucose. So you have a blackout in the middle of your exam. Ang matabo sa mga mahilig gid sa mga high GI nga foods like your donuts, sodas, simple sugars. No wonder. So you don't have to know the numbers. I just place it there for references. Amo ng glycemic index. But this is what you need to know. Let's start from the vegetable group. Almost all of them are in the low, in the medium, except for your potatoes. Medyo taas yun because your potato is actually a carbohydrate-rich food. But your potato has a medium nga glycemic load, meaning ang content naman sa sugar niya is not very high, so you don't really have to avoid that. Even though high ang iyang glycemic nga index, medium naman iyang glycemic load, meaning ang total sugar content niya is just right. So you don't really have to avoid that. Let's go to the fruit section. Low and medium, including your mango, your papaya, almost all of them ara sa low kag sa medium. Rarely, kasi wala sila sa minalist nga ara sa high glycemic index. So generally you don't have to avoid any kind of fruit. Sa nuts, low man sila gyapon tanan. All nuts. Sa beans, ara man gyapon sila sa low glycemic index. And sa rice and the grains, ang best gid nga lowest is your oats. No, sa medium ara ang mga whole wheat bread, whole wheat cereals, black rice, brown rice, red rice. Your unpolished nga mga rice. Ara sa high ang imo nga white rice. Kasi syempre polish nila, kuha nila tanan yung mga fiber mo, so amo na siya. White bread and our favorite nga recipes ang aton nga mga delicacies in the Philippines are glutinous rice. So you know, for those who want to avoid diabetes and those who have diabetes, they have to avoid white bread, white rice. Okay, for the other miscellaneous items, soy milk mo aragid sa low. Chocolate, there are chocolates that are in the medium, but mostly they are in the high. Of course, as expected, hindi nyo mabasa dira anong gagmay. Sige, high, cake, cupcake, donut, ice cream, graham crackers, pancake, pizza, soft drinks, tapioca pearls in your milkshake, and waffles. Just for example, most processed foods are sa tanan sa high because they are used, ang ilang ingredients na syempre simple nga sugars, no, hindi na sa mga whole wheat. So if you want to know the glycemic index of your particular food, you can head over to glycemicindex.com and type the name of that food and it shows up. And the ADA also recommends fiber. This is something that's 14 grams per 1,000 kcal. So sa isa ka tawo, ang imo nga minimum is around 28-30 grams a day. So where do you get your fiber? Okay, according to Harvard and Mayo Clinic, this is where you get your fiber. Highest in your beans, kidney beans, black beans, chickpeas, in your vegetables like your okra, in your oats, in your unpolished rice like your brown rice, in your fruits, in your banana, in your mango. Generally, all your fruits and vegetables, your beans, and your unpolished rice, and your oats, whole wheat products have high fiber compared to this group of food which has zero fiber. Of course, they have something to brag about. It's their cholesterol and saturated fat. This group of foods has everything that you have to avoid, and it has nothing that you want to have, your fiber. Compared back to this group of foods which has zero cholesterol and effectively zero saturated fat. There are only a few items in the vegetable kingdom that you will have your saturated fat, and if there is, they are on the very low side. Increase your fiber, says ADA, to improve insulin sensitivity and improve the ability to secrete insulin. See, that's what they found in their research. ADA, positional statement na gina nila. You have to have a lot of fiber. So if a vegetarian can barely meet the 30 grams per day, I don't know about meat eaters. Zero nga fiber, zero. You can't add a lot of zeros. You can never go somewhere sa inyong fiber. Okay, fiber, fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. They actually ilapagid nga suggestion if you can go up to 50 grams, that's the best. 30 grams pa lang gani mga vegetarians mabudlaya na gani unless nga damo-damo hagid ya makalabot kaguro 30 plus 50 grams. Good luck to the meat eaters. Paano nyo malabot ang 50 grams? So in summary of your diabetes, you have to avoid high GI foods like your white rice, white bread, your sweet foods, sodas, trans fat in your processed foods, your donuts, your cakes, your ice creams, saturated fat in your cheese, beef, and chicken, and the rest of the meat group, and cholesterol, which is only found in animal products. Of course, all of them has cholesterol. And you have to increase your low glycemic index foods like your whole grains, oats, whole wheat bread, and fiber, which is only found in the plant kingdom. And of course, you have to maintain a healthy weight and exercise. So you can have this to manage, or you can have this to prevent, manage, and potentially reverse your diabetes. Yes, it has been done. Heart disease is our #1 killer. That's around 100,000 Filipinos die each year. It's 21% of all deaths in the Philippines. And as I've said, it's a #1 killer. It is a lifestyle disease, and it is prevented, managed, and reversed with a change of lifestyle. Now, I've shown this to you before. The American Journal of Cardiology has stated that the only risk factor required for atherosclerosis, the hardening and thickening of your arteries, is cholesterol. And of course, if you don't want your cholesterol to increase, you have to avoid trans fat, saturated fat, and cholesterol. Sounds familiar? So your highest source of cholesterol, I have shared this with you last time, is your egg, such that just eating 1 egg a day is equivalent to smoking 5 sticks of cigarettes for 15 years. That's how bad your egg is, according to one of the largest studies, the Harvard's Nurses Health Study. Of course, your USDA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, this is the body of, this is the department in the United States that creates the food pyramid, the My Plate. They're the ones that are creating our guidelines. Nga ginakopya mo lang sang Pilipino and translate it to Tagalog or whatever. Sila nag-obra, and they are the ones who are telling you that your eggs cannot be labeled as healthy. I have shared this with you. For a food to be labeled as healthy, #1, it should have 1% saturated fat, or 1 gram per 100 grams of that food. #2, it should have only 90 milligrams of cholesterol per serving. Now your egg has 3.3 grams of saturated fat. It fails the first criteria, and it has around 220 to 130 milligrams of cholesterol per egg. Not even a 1/3 egg could pass this criteria. So it really fails, and it is considered unhealthy. Now in the United States, if you are to put up let's say a commercial or a pamphlet about eggs, you are not allowed to put the words healthy, nutritious, anything that has to connote that it's actually helpful. You are not allowed to put that in your label. Safe, not allowed. If the USDA finds that you are putting safe, nutritious, healthy to your eggs, they will sue you, because they know that it is unhealthy. Now the American Heart Association has your cholesterol limits. That's 300 for, I have shown this video again, 300 for those who are healthy and young, 200 for those who have heart disease or at risk, like late 30s, 40s, 50s ka na, And according to the Harvard study, women should not have more than 150 milligrams of cholesterol in a day. Now remember, pwede din siya nga 0. But they have placed the limit so that ang mga tao, kasi syempre hindi mo lamang nga 0. Kaya if you put 0 there, the end message of that is do not buy meat. So the USDA cannot really say that. They just have their limits from bad to very bad. So they have given you those limits. An egg, as we have said, 220 to 130 milligrams of cholesterol. So no, kung sa Harvard nurse study, women, even if you are healthy, you cannot eat an egg a day. For those who are at risk, late 30s and above, or you actually have your heart disease, your hypertension, you cannot eat an egg a day. And those who are healthy, ng mga lalaki, daw kaigo siya. It seems na daw kaigo ang isa ka egg in a day. But if you do that, you have to be a vegan for the rest of the day. Why? Because if you add chicken, malapaw ka na sa mga cholesterol nga limit. If you add fish, malapaw ka man gapon sa mga cholesterol nga limit. So, the best would be to put away your egg. Now, in a study, 65,000 people across the United States, 344 hospitals. What did they find? They found that 75% of ACS, acute coronary syndrome, aka heart attacks, happen when the patients have a LDL cholesterol within the normal limits. The mean was 103. So those of you who have your lipid profiles at home, you can check nyo ang inyong lipid profile. Kung ara ka mo sa mga 100 milligrams per DL nga LDL cholesterol, it's not that's a normal level, pero it's not a guarantee that you will not have a heart attack. Ang ilang cholesterol, 170 milligrams per DL. Ang abnormal is 200 and above para sa latest nga guidelines. 170 nga total cholesterol is normal, pero 75% of them have heart attacks. And almost half of them have their optimal nga LDL nga cholesterol. So your cholesterol has to be lower. The editor-in-chief of the American Journal of Cardiology says, we need to shift from decreasing risk to preventing and arresting. Decreasing risk is not enough, as shown by the study. So what can we do to prevent or arrest this problem? So it appears that if you want to stop the plaque progression, you have to lower your cholesterol to that of a vegetarian. That's all that they can give you. If you try to maintain an LDL or total cholesterol within normal, it's not enough. Your LDL has to go as low as 60 and your total cholesterol around 150. There is no way to reach that level if you are not a vegetarian. That's what they found. So the only way to heart attack proof yourself is to lower your cholesterol to that limits. So what happens when doctors, of course, a lot of doctors know, or maybe a few, have read this article, but the editor-in-chief says, because relatively few persons are willing to abide by the vegetarian lifestyle, lipid-lowering drugs are required in most to reach this 150 milligram per DL level. So they give you your statins, your Lipitor, which for this one has a price tag of around 3,500. So they give their patients two options: change your diet or have your statins. So most patients choose the statin. So in summary, for the heart disease, you have to avoid trans fat, saturated fat, and cholesterol. Sounds the same. And increase your fiber. That's, amo na siya ka-easy, no, ang heart disease. If only people are willing to abide by these rules, we would not be having an epidemic. But of course, people will not abide, so we have drugs, and unfortunately, as the article earlier has said, it did not stop the epidemic of a heart disease. Okay, is your omega-3 just a fishtail? No, I've shared this with you, I would just like to share it with those who were not around last time. Where did this all come from? Let's go back to 1989 in the famous DART, the Diet and Reinfarction Trial. This was the first randomized controlled trial for medical students. They want to hear that word, the randomized controlled trial study. The first randomized controlled trial of your omega-3 and fish back in 1989, and it showed 29% reduction in mortality. So since then, omega-3 fish oil and eating fish has become a multi-billion industry. So we all have this. But nobody was talking about the sequence, the DART-2 study. What happened? It showed no benefit. And not just no benefit, they found that those who were given fish or omega-3 supplements or fish oil supplements actually had a higher risk of cardiac death. Of course, ang DART-2, same ni siyang researchers, they don't want this study to be published. Why? Imagine multi-billion na ang industry, and then you're gonna tell them, excuse lang ha, kami to naghatag sa inyo sa information sa DART-1, pero unfortunately, gakamatay gali ka mo, gakapatay gali ka mo kung mag-take ka mo, ha? Imagine ko ano kadamo nga kaso ang ilang nga ma-receive. No, they are the ones who told the world that it is good. Now they are the ones who also found out nga magkalamatay pagid sila kung hala sila kaon sang ilang fish oil and all. So gintabunan na lang ang study. But of course, there are those who found out about the study. And now the biggest meta-analysis, meaning a combination of a lot of studies, of the best studies about omega-3, shows that there is no justification to your omega-3 in your heart patients. Even those nga may heart disease na and you want to sort of stop the progression, they have found that there is no benefit to your omega-3 supplements. And doctors are now mandated to stop this omega-3 supplementation. Okay, if you want to know more about your fish oil and your omega-3 and the truth about our fishing industries today, you can go to YouTube and you look for See the Truth. That's by Marianne Thieme. She is an Adventist, a Dutch politician. Okay, potassium. We have found that a study has found that potassium intake can decrease your stroke and your cardiovascular disease. The study has said higher dietary potassium intake is associated with lower rates of stroke and might also reduce coronary heart disease and cardiovascular disease. So, where is potassium found? Can you name a fruit or vegetable which has high potassium content? Oh, banana. Okay, banana has a good potassium content, but if you really mean good, because there are those with very good and there are those that are excellent. Coming in at number 206 at the ADA Nutrition Database. Okay, let's look for your banana. It's down, oh, way down there. There's your banana. Rank according to potassium content, it's at 206. Along with your bamboo shoots and your avocado. Roughly the same potassium content per serving. So there's your banana. If you really want to have those potassium, you can go up the list and find that the number one is actually your radish. Or you can have your beans. They're the ones that are really high in your potassium. Okay. Hypertension. 41,000 Filipinos die of hypertension in a year, 26% of Filipinos, and it increases the risk of your stroke, heart diseases, and renal failure. So it is also a lifestyle disease, and a lifestyle disease is prevented, managed, and reversed with a change in lifestyle. Now, there is a lot of studies about hypertension, but I would like to use this one. You cannot read it from there. It says, vegetarian diets and blood pressure among white subjects results from the Adventist Health Study. So this is an Adventist study. What did they find? What did they find? This is a group of Adventists, no smoking, no alcohol. And they have compared non-vegetarians, partial vegetarians, and the lacto-ovo-vegetarians. Okay, it's good there. Okay, from the non-vegetarians, the blood pressure reduction was none, of course. And from the partial vegetarians, the blood pressure reduction was 5 points, 5 mmHg. From the lacto-ovo-vegetarian and vegans, it's 6 to 9, almost 10 points reduction in their blood pressure. Now, some of you are happy to see an egg and a milk in the lacto-ovo vegan part. Can you see it there? Yeah, you can see an egg and a milk there. But that was once a month. So if you want to have the same blood pressure reduction of those in the lacto-ovo-vegetarian and vegan group, if you really want your egg and your milk, try once a month. Yeah, otherwise you will belong to the other group. Adventist na ang study. So for hypertension, just like your heart disease and your diabetes, they have the same solution. If you have not yet noticed it up to now. Same, trans fat, saturated fat, cholesterol, and increase your fiber, and maintaining a healthy weight and exercise. So you can have this if you want to manage it only, or have those. Okay, why is it that they love the Adventist? They have a lot of Adventist studies. It's because we don't smoke, we don't drink. So, pagka-analyze ang data, they don't have to adjust sa ilang statistics. It's called adjusting, because of course, ang mga smoking kag mga drinking will reduce your lifespan, or it will cause a lot of health, mga illness mo. So, with Adventists, they don't have to think about all these variables. Kaya wala na tangadang smoke, wala na tangadang drink. So, we are their favorite ng mga study population. So now, it's not just general population. Ang ilang study now is Adventist versus Adventist. One group, they found that Adventists have heart disease. They found that Adventists have cancer, diabetes, and arthritis. And the other group rarely has these diseases. And the factor is the diet. That is what they found. Adventist na gid man, pero ang diet pagid ang factor makes a lot of difference. So for the past two series that I have here, I have shown you these problems, and ang causes nila is pretty much the same. If you just translate that cholesterol, saturated fat, and trans fat, animal protein, that's basically your animal sources. High GI foods, that's your processed mga foods. Okay. So, overall, sa ilatanan, ang lifestyle diseases, chronic diseases, can be prevented, managed, and reversed by this. Now, for those of you who are not yet satisfied with having all those positional statement already of the ADA, have this. These are probably the top 5 largest studies ever made about diet and nutrition. If you want to look it up, go ahead. The China study during its time, the NIH, AARP, this is probably the biggest up to date. Right now in Europe, ang ilang biggest is your EPIC study, and of course the Nurses Health Study, Harvard studies. Ang Nurses Health Study now may number 2 na sila. This study has about 25 years na para conduct. Right now, they are going with the Nurses Health Study 3. Subong, I think, ano pa lang sila, recruit pa lang sila sa ilang subjects, and we will find out 25 years later. So, hindi pa nato magamit ang ilang study. So, subong ang Nurses Health Study 2, nag-start about 25 years ago, amo ni ilang results. Amo lang gini ka simply, all the biggest studies in the world, physical activity and a plant-based diet, that is all that will help solve the epidemic of the world's health illnesses. I place here a picture of a bike made of vegetables so that you can remember bike, physical activity, and the diet. And the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, amo ni sila ang isa ka group na namian ko. They are the ones that are trying to watch out for us. Sila ni nagkaso sa USDA. For those of you who have attended the part 2 of this series, if you know kung sinong go-obra sa guidelines nyo, you will be shocked kung sinong go-obra sa inyong guidelines. Spoiler, it's your McDonald's, Coca-Cola. Yeah. Ang mga nag-obrada sa sulod, they are tied with the biggest food industries. Ngayon, kitaya, gina-accepta lang ang food pyramid, gina-accepta lang ang my plate. And junk, ang mga ga-obrasa na is tied to the biggest food industries. Exposed to sila sa Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. I think in 1998, they sued the USDA and they won. But it did not stop the food pyramid. Ang food pyramid nagkatong magyapon sa bilog ka world. And maski ang food plate nga ginasunod na subong sa world 2011 still has the same problems kang nag-ubra sang food plate, still tied with the biggest food companies. So anyways, the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine has this poster for everyone. Meat is the new tobacco. Pataas-taas lang sila kadamo sang cancer. Tayo sila guro. And of course, this is the problem of all our diseases, majority. The data, the results of the study are so compelling that even the people from the meat science, the scientists who are working for the meat industry has this to say: red meat and colon cancer, should we become vegetarians? Maski sila na naga-question na sa ilang selves. They have seen the problem and they have asked the question, should we become vegetarians? Actually, ilang if you read the article, ang ilang solution is to add vegetables to the meat. So because avoiding meat was out of their question. HMO, Health Managed Organization in the United States, it's like your PhilHealth. There is a Philippines, has this to say. Now, Kaiser Permanente, ang isang largest sa US. If, for some of you who understands, no, ang mga HMO or like or diri sa aton niya healthcare management system ang PhilHealth, ang ila na nakita depends on this. If there is these people paying and this group of people nga masakit, hindi sila dapat mag-equal kay para may ara sila sang income. Ang tanan nga wala ga masakit, ang ilagin bayad that will be used for their income for continuation of their organization sa ilang mga expenses. But what happens if tanan nga nagabayad, nagamasakit, perdi sila, di ba? O, perdi gina sila. It's business for them. Such that Kaiser Permanente has looked into all their patients, what is causing our patients to be sick. And they found out this. Kag amo ning gina-push na sa ilang mga physicians para man sa ilang income kag para sa health sa ilang mga patients. I will read this to you. Kaiser Permanente, do you want to lose weight? Do you want to feel better? Do you want to improve, stabilize, or even reverse a chronic condition such as heart disease, high cholesterol, diabetes, or high blood pressure? Would you like to take fewer medications? Are you open to changing your diet if it could really improve your health? If you answered yes, then a plant-based diet may be the one for you. Kaiser Permanente. And the side effects of that is lower cholesterol, lower blood pressure, lower blood sugar, reversal or prevention of heart disease, longer life, healthier weight, lower risk of cancer and diabetes, may slow the progression of certain types of cancer, improve symptoms of rheumatoid arthritis, fewer medications, lower food costs, and it is good for your environment. So why don't most doctors pass this information? And number one, according to a study, is because they lack training. When I say training, they lack training about nutrition. Now, this is an article by Dr. Esselstyn, Resolving Coronary Artery Disease through a plant-based nutrition. Way back in 2001, but nobody in the medical field would really like to practice this one. Dr. Esselstyn said, how fortunate we are to possess the knowledge of how to prevent, arrest, and selectively reverse heart disease. However, we are not fortunate in the capacity of our institutions to share this information with the public. Why don't more within the medical community promote a plant-based diet? It has something to do with this. I borrowed this presentation from Dr. Greger. It's called the tomato effect. The tomato effect was coined, the term, there is a term called tomato effect. It was coined by the Journal of American Medical Association way back in 1984. And it is defined as the rejection of a highly efficacious therapies by the medical establishment because they go against the prevailing conventional wisdom. So let's say Dr. Esselstyn said you can prevent, manage, and reverse coronary heart disease with a plant-based diet. Most doctors will say, that's too simple, or that's too radical, that's too efficacious. Maybe that is not true. That's what it's called tomato effect. Why tomato effect? Your tomato during the 1560s was a staple food in Europe. At the same time, in another part of the world, it was shunned in North America during the same time. Why? Because the Americans thought it was poisonous. Period. It was poisonous. It should not be eaten. Not only until 1820 when somebody ate the tomato and survived to tell the story. So, it's called the tomato effect. Now, the tomato effect also happens in the medical world. This is a plant that has been not given the right treatment for your gout, only to find out that it contains your colchicine. This willow tree has been used for pain management for hundreds of years, and just this past century that we found out that it contains aspirin. And the scurvy back then was thought to be because of an imbalance of the humors. What is that? And the medical experts at that time said, what role could eating fruit possibly play with your scurvy? Of course, we now know that scurvy is a problem with your vitamin C. Berry. When man polished the rice, thousands have died because of berry. Then some people found the treatment, rice bran or eating unpolished rice. Nobody listened. It took them decades of more deaths before they found out that it was because they lacked the vitamin B1. And today, we have an epidemic of chronic diseases. How long are we going to wait before we realize that there is a simple solution to this? Number 2 reason, it's lack of time. Yes, doctors just want to sit down for 5 minutes and there's your prescription. They don't have the time to explain to your disease and what are your options. But the number 1 reason why doctors don't tell this to you is because people won't change their diet anyway. It has been proven that if doctors try to tell patients, you have to change your lifestyle, to change your diet, it doesn't work for them. So why bother telling them? The doctors just go and give you the prescription because they have seen through studies that patients won't change their diet if you tell them. But I would like to believe that the people right in front of me this afternoon does not belong to that group. That's why it's called unhooked, to free from a habit or dependency. For those outside, it could be smoking, it could be caffeine, it could be sugar, or it could be alcohol for them, or junk. But for some of us, it could be this. Now, just before I end, I would like to share this with you. Res ipsa loquitur. That's Latin for the thing speaks for itself. Now, let's say nangawat ka sa cellphone, kag ginadeny mo gid nga hindi ikaw nangawat sa cellphone. Pero pag abot sa imo dito sa balay, nakita nga ang cellphone, ara gid dito. The thing speaks for itself. Ara gid ang ebidensya nga ikaw nangawat. Res ipsa loquitur. Now, ang ebidensya nga wala kita gakaon dapat sang meat is right within each and every one of us. It is within you. The human design. Hand test. Okay. If you have a kitten, at home, look at their paws. What do you see? They have claws. Now look at your hand. Do you have claws? Your predators or your carnivores have claws, no? For their hunting job. Your dental test, what you do is you go in front of your kitten and you wait for it to open its mouth. What do you see? You see very long, sharp teeth. For that one, yung canine yung mga ngipon. And look at your teeth. Do they look the same? No? Your carnivores have jaws and teeth that are designed to tear flesh. To tear skin and flesh, not just the flesh. Kaya para makakaon sila, they have to rip off the skin and the flesh. While those who are designed for a plant-based diet, like your cow and your horse, have blunted nga teeth nga for grinding. A little cutting lang, pero mostly for grinding, not for tearing meat. The ENT, I call it the ENT test, eyes, ears, nose test. You look at your dogs and still your cats, they have well-developed senses. Your eyes are very keen. Some of your carnivores, your hunter animals have eyes for night vision. They have keen sense of smell, like your dogs, they have keen sense of hearing. Well, humans, very pathetic. Don't even have night vision. We don't have very keen sense of smell. We don't have very keen sense of hearing compared to these hunters. Hunting skills. No, your cat, if you have observed your cat, no, they have the speed and the agility to be hunters. Kay amo na ang kailangan for survival. You see? They can catch prey. Well, the humans, well, we don't really have to sneak around a tomato. It's not gonna run, it's just there. Our food is not like their food. We don't have to do like this, no? Wala man yung dalagan ninyo ato yung pagkaon. We're not made to be predators. Our internal organs, the plant-based eaters, have a long intestines with a lot of bumps, if you want, we would like to call it like that. A lot of folds inside, while your carnivores have a shorter, smooth digestive tract. And of course, humans have long intestines with a lot of folds. We belong to the plant eaters. So again, I would like to ask you, would you refuel your 65 million gasoline car with diesel? It's not designed for it. And I have told you what you're designed for. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed, to you it shall be for food. That was our original diet. So it's simple. You just have to go back to what you were created for, and it solves a lot of problems. Your body has the amazing ability to heal itself only if you allow it. So if you want to know more about the meat and your fishes, you can go to YouTube and look for Meet the Truth and See the Truth by Marian Timmy. You can also go to nutritionfacts.org and to look for the leading causes of our death and how to prevent those leading causes of death. You can also go there and look for studies that the meat industry uses to mislead the general population. Yes, they have a way of misleading you. You can read it there or watch it there. Misleading studies by the meat industries. And as I've always said, health is a journey, and the right way is not the easy way. It starts with a decision, followed by a step, followed by another step, and another, and another. Health is a journey. So I hope you make the right decisions and celebrate life, stay healthy. Thank you.
He's Coming Broadcasting Network.